How I love to you draw me and I come near. Kaboro sita mantela. You call my name and I hear. Satera bashabanaya. In your presence, in your presence, no other place to be than in your presence. In your presence, in your presence. No other place to be than in your presence. In your presence. In your presence. No other place to be than in your presence. In your presence. The world and with all its joy cannot satisfy the longing of my heart. Your presence is where I want to be. Yes, yes. In your presence, oh yes, that's where I want to be. Oh yes. In your presence, oh yes. In your presence, nothing is sweeter than the glory. That's where I want to be. In your presence, how I love to stay with you. In my Father's house is where I love to be. How I long to stay with you. In my Father's house is where I love to be. How I long to stay with you. In my Father's house is where I love to be. In the glory realm is where I love to be. In the glory realm is where I love to stay. In the glory realm is where I love to dwell. In the glory realm is where I love to be. In the glory realm is where I love to stay. In the glory realm is where I love to be. In the glory, there's possibilities in the sickness cannot stand the glory. Your Father draws you into His presence. There is no better place. In your presence, in your presence, no other place.
Tila Subarakade Kobalatai.